This is Peter Helland on Citizens for Community Media here in the South Bend, Notre Dame, Indiana community. And the title of the show will be the title of this book by John Slattery, Faith and Science at Notre Dame, John Zahm, Evolution and the Catholic Church. Now, I keep hitting on this all the time. There's a proverb that comes to mind. I think it's 22:21. The wise man scales the city of the mighty and tears down the stronghold in which they trust. And Notre Dame, this is my opinion, and I do believe it's true, of course, Notre Dame led the way for the international Catholic Church, not just the American Church, led the way in bringing theistic evolution into the Catholic Church, and Notre Dame is the one that did it. Because without Notre Dame, John Zahm was Notre Dame. And if you read Dave Burrell's wrote a book, I know Dave Burrell, I knew his nephew. His nephew was in our same prayer group at Notre Dame. When faith and reason meet. And he says what everybody says. John Zahm was the greatest intellect that came out of Notre Dame. He was the genius. Went to Notre Dame at age 16, became the professor of physics and chemistry, I think, by age 23. He didn't have a degree, but they just made him that. And he studied under Orestes Bronson, who was vehemently against evolution when it came out, but for some mysterious reason, that's why I guess you have all these books written on Zahm. Why did Zahm reject Bronson's position against evolution, and why did he totally go with evolution? Well, there's many theories on that. We'll get into it. But I have Judy Latanation with me today, and the reason is I've known Judy since the mid-'70s. When I took 3 years off from Notre Dame, got back into church, was reading the Bible and all that, came back to finish my senior year, I was eating at the South Dining Hall, and Judy was teaching,
yes,
and she went there to eat, and we sat at this table, and I think you had Moose Krause.
Yes, he would come often to the table.
Yeah,
yes.
he had some famous guys. The guy who did the weather, Dick.
I can't his last. Yeah.
His name was Dick.
What
but anyway,
the weatherman, yes. Addis, yes.
Dick Addis. Yeah. So anyway, we had our nice little table, and I remember telling Judy, you need to go and hear these lectures on nutrition. And so we went over to Bethel College,
yes,
and this guy would give lectures, and Judy really followed it, still does.
Yes.
But one thing that Judy and I had in common, we both had Professor Murphy in geology. Now, I had Father Murphy my freshman year. They made me take the class. I didn't want the class, but they made me take it, which they can do, I guess, you know. They can make you take whatever you want your freshman year. But she took the class
yes,
to get your, master's degree? Or?
No, it was part of if you had your master's degree, you could get extra pay if you took so many classes per year. And the school corporation offered it to me on a Saturday morning for the whole year. If I would go, they would give me the 3 credit hours. So I was willing to go and do it. And I did have Father Murphy in the class.
For geology?
For geology. There was like different, okay, some of it was like biology, then there was ecology, and there was chemistry, and then there was earth science. Okay.
Okay. Now, but Judy knows the history of this time. Now, see, Vatican II, as we know, was tumultuous. And all kinds of things changed in the church. You know, the obvious one is it went from Latin to English, yes, but that was probably the minor. Okay, that was a minor change. But the significant ones, I don't think were noticed, okay,
right,
in my opinion.
At the time, yeah.
Okay, so one of them, before Vatican II, now you went to Catholic school, I went to public school.
Right,
okay.
Right.
But you were being taught before Vatican II what was the teaching of the church on creation or evolution?
Okay, I went to elementary Catholic school, and then I went to high school in a Catholic school. Okay, and at high school, it seems like right after Vatican II, you had a choice whether to believe in creation or evolution.
But before Vatican II,
it was always creation. It was always creation before Vatican II.
It was all creation. Okay.
Yes.
Then after Vatican II, you're now in high school?
Yes.
Yeah, right, because Judy's a couple years older than me. Okay, so right after Vatican II, you're going into high school.
Right, right.
Okay, and you noticed that they started teaching evolution.
Right. The teacher said that you could believe that in evolution if you believe that God instilled a soul in man, or you can believe in creation. And then it came up on a test question, and I knew you could not put down creation on a test question and get it right. So you had to go with evolution. And that just seems, that was fine, because those people that put down creation got points taken off their answer. So.
Right, and you have an identical sister.
Sister, yes.
Okay, and identical twin. And you both noticed.
Oh yeah, we said this isn't right. We would discuss it, at home and when we're doing our homework together, and we'd say, this isn't what we used to have, and now it's all changed.
Right. Okay. So then you both go
to Ball State.
Teachers College
Right.
at Ball State
yes.
in Muncie, Indiana.
Yes.
Okay. And now, when I went to Notre Dame, a couple years later, you're a couple years older.
Right.
I went there in 1970.
Mm-hmm.
So they made me take Father Murphy all year.
Right.
And made me take, I didn't have a choice, okay?
Right, no.
Psychology, behaviorism, which was
Right,
atheistic.
right.
Okay. But when you went to Ball State, describe the first day.
Okay, the first day of classes, I think I had psychology, biology, anthropology, and I'm trying to remember what the other class was.
Be geology.
Could be.
It was 4 sciences?
Four science classes. Okay, in each of the lesson plans, they were talking about evolution. And I said all about the monkey, and man came from the monkey, and I'm going, so I told my sister, I said, I had 4 classes, and they all had the same lesson plan. I had the same set of notes. And then the next day, everything, they went back to the regular, whatever the subject area was, they went back to if it was biology, we had more biology-oriented material. Okay, so it was just like I couldn't believe what was happening. I thought, this is so strange. On the very first day, they're hitting us with this evolution. And I talked to the other kids in the class, and they didn't see anything. They think that's, everything was okay with them, but it was really disturbing to me.
Right, because some came from Catholic school, but probably most came from public.
Public school, right.
Okay, so that was up their alley.
Right, they said they had it years before, so it was no big earth-shaking event to them.
Okay, but you'd already been getting it a little bit in the Catholic school.
Well,
in high school.
It was, they kind of stayed away from it. I mean, once they mentioned it
but you said
class,
that you could either believe creation or evolution, but if you put down a creation answer...
Oh, my point's taken off. Or
at the Catholic school.
Right.
Right, so they're pushing you that way. And Ball State was famous where I was from. In fact, our neighbor married a Ball in Wisconsin Dells.
Okay.
Yeah, but Ball State was considered the party school of the country.
Oh, yeah.
I think Playboy had Ball State. We all knew that, okay? So not only were they teaching evolution, it was wild then.
It was wild then. My mom says, how can you get anything done? Because we'd call my mom on the weekend. She hears this noise all the time. She said, what's going on? I said, oh, that's just a regular noise from the dorm. I said, you don't fall asleep until about 2 o'clock in the morning, And most of the time, a lot of the kids wouldn't go to class. They would just party it up or ditch class or sleep or whatever. And we weren't there. So if you came to study, you had to really work around the atmosphere there.
But they're teaching evolution. They jam it down your throat.
Oh, that was very first day, yes.
Now, one thing I did in reading these books on Zahm, one thing I remember reading, Zahm did not just present it, well, this is one way of looking at it. He was a dictator.
Right.
Okay,
yeah.
Boom. He said, this is it. It is theistic evolution. Special creation is wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so I don't forget, okay, they got a lot of Christian creation ministries now. Okay, and they didn't. In fact, when I dropped out, 73 to 76, I immediately came across, because I was looking for it, came across creation ministries, Henry Morris and John Whitcomb. Whitcomb was actually from right near here. So I got turned around on that, and this is a Creation Ministries International, and this guy's giving an example, which is exactly what I experienced at Notre Dame. Okay, because I remember a bishop from, I think it was from Poland, came to visit, and I asked him the question. One of the top Greek scholars in the world, they said, was teaching at Notre Dame. I had her in class in graduate school. I asked her the same question, same answer. Now, what's the question? He writes, the most striking and sad example of this switch in authority source I know of comes from a personal experience. In Melbourne, Australia, many years ago, I had arranged to sit down over a hot drink with a distinguished university professor, a Christian who was well known for his active opposition to a straightforward view of Genesis. At that time, he was actually the head of a grouping of Christian academics, which had been openly set up to provide opposition to the inroads our ministry was making, creation ministry, you know. Over the years, this group has unfortunately been very effective in persuading most Christian training institutions that compromising on biblical creation in favor of secular thinking, evolution and long ages, is the only respectable position. This professor himself, in addition to his secular science qualification, was well regarded in the theological arena, as well as being very biblically literate. He had at that time already been a frequent guest lecturer at several leading Australian evangelical training institutions. During our courteous exchange, I asked him about the above comments by Jesus in relation to the age of the world. All the quotes from Jesus in the New Testament. He's saying, well, what about Jesus saying this? I asked, isn't it clear that Jesus taught and believed that the world was young? You know, six-day young earth. I expected him to do as other Christian evolutionists have done, to try to find ways to torture the text to escape these obvious implications. Instead, he said that he totally agreed that Jesus believed in a recent creation of all things. Somewhat taken by surprise, I said, well, how do you deal with that then? His answer simply stunned me, to put it mildly. He said, Jesus didn't know as much science as we do today. Okay. I asked the bishop, I said, did Jesus believe in a young earth, six-day creation? And the apostles? He said, yes.
Yes, he did.
The apostles and Jesus did. Yes. I said, why don't we believe that now? Science has proven them wrong. Josephine Ford said the same thing. I asked her the same question. Yeah, Jesus believed in six-day creation. Science has proven them wrong. But that is the position at Notre Dame. You're not going to find one creationist there that I've ever known of. It's demanded that they teach evolution. And when you had Father Murphy describe how he was in the class.
Okay, I'm coming from Ball State, so I said, I'm going to get the Catholic viewpoint at Notre Dame, so I'm really glad to take this additional class. And the very first day he comes to class, he starts talking about the evolution and the monkey. And I said, okay, I'm just going to wait. Maybe he's going to give the alternative viewpoint. Well, he never gave the alternative viewpoint. He only gave the one viewpoint, and I thought, I was kind of disappointed. So maybe next week or maybe down the line he'll bring it up, because we're talking about the fossils and, evidence of shells and things like this. Okay, so we're studying all these things. I thought, well, maybe he's going to bring it up later. It never came up. And I was really disappointed. And I asked other people in the class, I said, how do you feel about this? They said, oh, we don't have no problem with it at all. But they were mostly public school teachers, so I just thought, well, I still have my own opinion, but it's not comfortable being in that class, which I thought would be more comfortable being from a Catholic university.
Now, one thing I read, I think it was a government study, but it was showing that freshmen that go to college in America that are taught evolution, they tend to believe what they're taught.
Oh, yes.
But it says they really don't know
why,
what it is. They can't explain it.
Right.
In other words, they force this down you. They force you, and you don't process it. You're not really asking questions.
No.
You just know this is what you're supposed to believe.
You got to accept it,
and then you just yield.
Yes.
So it might as well be the Muslim faith. coming in and say, you will believe Muhammad and you will believe the Quran,
Yes.
and you just go with it. No, you haven't analyzed it, but you're being forced to believe
Right,
it.
right.
And that's basically definitely what happens at Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You're being forced because they don't give you the option.
No, the
There's
option
not one
it never
creationist.
came through. No.
And yet on the one hand, they started out after Vatican II. Well, you can believe either one.
Yes.
But if you go with creation, we're going to flunk you.
Yeah, you get points taken off. Yes.
Yeah. So Notre Dame doesn't even have the option. There is no creationist.
No.
Okay.
No. There's no alternative viewpoint. No.
Right. And so when I talked to one of the main, Father Miss Campbell, who was going to be, they were saying he was going to make him a president, but I had him kind of cornered, and he goes, well, Augustine taught theistic evolution. See, that's Zahm's main point. He wrote a book in 1896 that the Vatican immediately said, this is heresy. Because he was saying, well, Augustine and Aquinas taught theistic evolution. Okay. It should have been condemned. It wasn't. That idea took hold at Notre Dame. It kind of went underground when it had to.
Yeah.
But after Vatican II, it came full force above ground. And everybody is forced psychologically, by the way they can pressure to hold the theistic evolution.
Yes.
Which then enables them to have no morality. You can, how can you, if you believe that the earth is old and that we evolved, the Bible says, what does the Bible say? It says, let's just go to Colossians. It says, for by him, Jesus Christ, for by him, first chapter, verse 16, for by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers, all things were created by him and for him. Okay? Jesus created all things. The famous chapter in John, which in the Latin Mass before Vatican II, we read this. This was part of the Mass, wasn't it? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him. And without him was not anything made that was made. Okay,
that's
so
the last gospel in the Latin Mass.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, it was in there. I was an altar boy, so I had that was being said. So Jesus Christ made everything by his word.
Yes,
and his word, best summarized by the Ten Commandments. Ten Commandments says God created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh, and it was created by Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you're saved by believing in Christ. Okay.
Right.
He created the world. He created it in 6 days, rested on the seventh. It was through him. And yet, if you believe in evolution, like we just read, like that big Christian professor who was a huge influence, believes Jesus was wrong. So, well, then he doesn't believe Jesus, and he doesn't believe the Word of God.
No.
He believes science.
Right. Well, they wanted science to elevate Notre Dame because it would just be a small Western university, and this way with science, they would get government grants and get more recognition and get more professors to come in and raise the status of Notre Dame. That's my point.
Well, Zahm said you cannot become a great research university if you hold to special creation, to creationism, 6 day creation. You will not. You won't go anywhere.
Right.
So he was determined to go take it this other direction.
Move it up. Yes.
So he was driven by two forces. One, he wanted to make Notre Dame great.
Right.
Okay. And the other one was the Civil War.
Okay.
Okay. The Civil War was fought between the Science North.
Okay.
Okay. The Southerners called them atheists and communists and all that, but they were into science. Okay. And then evolution hit 1859.
Okay.
And science starts really taking off. The North wins. Like Wisconsin, where I'm from, boom, science becomes the head subject.
Right.
Notre Dame, science is huge.
Right.
Okay. And Zahm is very ambitious. Okay. Now, you have even Burrell goes into it. The brothers voted him out. They didn't like him. Okay. He took a trip with Teddy Roosevelt on this big, adventurous,
expedition,
unexplored river.
Okay.
They told him he had to go. They said, get out of here. They couldn't stand him.
Oh my God.
He was so selfish, so pompous. Okay.
Yes.
No, that's just one opinion.
Yes.
Of course, there's
Yes.
people that could back him, but you hear a lot of reports like that. So it looks like basically God looks at you and goes, is he proud or is he humble? Okay. And with pride comes a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Okay. So he's gonna like bring theistic evolution into the Catholic Church. He's gonna bring that doctrine single-handedly.
Yes.
I mean, there's other people pushing it,
Yes.
but he was like one of the main ones. Okay. So he pushes that.
He was well established at Notre Dame at that time.
He went to Notre Dame at 16 in 1871 and stayed there. Okay. He died at age 70 of pneumonia in Europe, I think. Mm-hmm. But the Civil War was so traumatic because Jefferson Davis was aligned with Pius IX.
Yes.
They were writing letters. They were in good correspondence. In fact, some people believe that it was only the Pope that recognized the Confederacy. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people believe that what the Pope did was recognizing the Confederacy. So they're very close because when the North invaded the South, the Marxist, communist rebels were invading the Vatican, the Papal State, which reduced it. Okay, so the Pope saw that they had common enemies. Mm-hmm. So he was very sympathetic with Jefferson Davis's plight. The Catholic Church never said slavery was a sin. Okay, that only came in through the Northern Methodists. No church ever taught that it was a sin. Slave trade, all that, but not just inheriting a slave. Okay. Now, if you could purchase a slave legitimately in the eyes of the church, yeah, then that's fine. Okay. But all of a sudden, there's a 180-degree shift on that. Now, it's obvious it was political because the Marxist revolutionaries, slavery was a target. They were going after it. Okay, so what you see is the church always yielding to whatever political wind is coming. Mm-hmm. Okay, but the New Testament has so much written to the slaves and to the masters. Jesus referenced slavery all the time.
And the church
it was never condemned by anybody that relationship in and of itself was an evil relationship. It was never, except maybe some wacko here and there, but never by any significant denomination, but it was the Northern Methodists that began it. Okay. That was such a scriptural revolution. It turned Scripture, it just wiped out Scripture, okay? Because how could you call it a sin when it was never called a sin before? Well, right at the same time, they blow creation off the map.
Yes.
Okay? Oh, God didn't create the world in 6 days. He what? He didn't create the world in 6 days? The earth is 14 billion years or 4 billion years old?
Yes.
Those are two revolutions that nobody can handle. We still can't handle them.
No.
And we won't admit them. We won't recognize that the church has capitulated to that. We don't have the same church.
No.
Okay?
Oh, no.
Because when you change on those two fundamental doctrines, you don't have the same church.
It changes everything. Changes everything.
Now you do see I meet a lot of people that go to the Latin Mass.
Okay.
They tend to be 6-day creationists.
Right.
Now they know they are the 1% of the 1%.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because when I was trying to hold to the 6-day creation, when I went back to Notre Dame,
A lot of resistance.
You're a fundamentalist wacko.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You're a fundamentalist wacko. As soon as you suggest young Earth 6-day creation, they don't want you. You're like toxic. Okay? Went on for decades. Except now, that's changing.
It's coming back.
Yeah.
Might be coming back.
Yeah, it's like it was trying to push homeschool back in the 70s and the 80s.
Yes.
They thought you were crazy.
Yes.
Well, now homeschool is the only way to go.
Oh, if you're gonna
it was always the only way to go.
Right.
Okay, it was always the only way to go, but nobody wanted to go there. Mm-hmm. Okay, until they're forced to. Mm-hmm. And somehow the evolution became attractive to to the American Catholics. So you wonder why. I mean, at the same time they bring in the evolutionists, then they're saying, well, you don't have to wear the head covering.
Right.
Okay. But you can if you want to.
Yes, it's an option.
Well, how many wanted to?
Few, very few.
So right afterwards, it went to like only 10%.
Yes.
But in a couple of years, 1%.
Maybe 1%. Yes.
But they had the option, and
Yes.
for 1965 years, they all were wearing it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
why do you think they grabbed evolution? They took off the head covering. I mean, you were in the middle of that.
Yes.
Why'd they do it?
I guess to get more. I guess they want to see it as a cultural thing. They wanted to keep up with what was going on in the regular world, and I also think it's because they're trying to do male and female equality. The men weren't going to wear a hat, then the women weren't going to wear a hat, and that's just how that was.
So,
And that was the same time the revolution, the women's rights were coming around, and people were protesting, and equal pay for equal work. It was all coming out at the same time.
but you grew up you're near Chicago, but right across in Indiana, Hammond,
Yes,
Indiana.
yes.
And you, if they came over from the old country
Yes.
and kept to some of their ways,
Their customs.
you would call them a hunky.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And you looked down on them, right?
Oh, well, if they stayed within their groups, they were okay. But when the newcomers or people that didn't grow up in that area, they would put them down because they were too, like I guess old-fashioned would be the word.
Well, now we're seeing we need some of that old
Yes, we need that old-fashioned back.
because
yes.
because in order to conform to America, you had to get rid of
Your customs.
the father running
right.
the home.
Oh, yes. Yes.
They didn't like America didn't like that, did
Oh,
it?
no, no.
No, so we demanded this 50-50.
Right, right.
The wife is equal to the husband.
Right, right.
Isn't that basically what it was?
Yes, yes. It's exactly what it is right now, yes.
And then the church didn't hold the line. They simply
No,
went with the
flow.
American,
They went with the flow. Mm-hmm. Yes.
and the American flow was 50-50.
Yes,
And then somehow after Vatican II, oh, it's mutual submission.
yes,
It just so happens to agree with America,
yeah,
the number one empire in the world.
yeah. They lost ground on that a lot. The church lost ground.
Well, how many people got divorced before Vatican II?
Very few, if you hear of anybody.
And once it went 50-50, how's it doing?
And every year went up. Yes.
And then you had to deal with all these students.
The students that
You
came
taught
from
42
split home,
years,
yes.
and you had all the students.
But when they had the two-parent home, the kids were well disciplined and they did their work and they were more successful. And then as the years went by, it's getting to be one-parent home, and the kids were harder to manage. They didn't listen. They weren't interested in schoolwork, and they were just had no self-direction. They had no little success in the classroom because they weren't willing to put the effort into it.
Right.
And when the two parents were there, somebody was on those kids all the time, making the kids do the homework, and I always had the kids have their parents sign that they did their homework. And that as time went on, the papers never came back, and that type of a thing.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, I grew up around mostly evolution. No Christian books in the home.
Right.
So all I was ever getting, indirectly, because it was never discussed, was evolution. So when I went to Notre Dame and had Father Murphy,
Yeah.
I didn't know better.
Yeah.
And they write the textbooks like this is fact.
Oh,
okay,
yes,
he didn't
yeah.
present it as a theory at all.
No, it was hardcore fact. You're right.
Hardcore
Absolutely
fact
right,
is that's
right.
who Zahm. That's how he
Right.
wanted to present it.
Right.
And so Notre Dame kept that up.
Right.
This is a fact.
Right.
And I was so busy I didn't give it that much thought. I had so many classes. I
Right,
didn't know I
right.
could keep up.
You had other
know.
things to focus on. Yeah.
Yeah. But I went to the Cotton Bowl.
Okay.
Okay. My friends wanted me to go to the Cotton Bowl. Notre Dame and Texas were 1 and 2.
Okay.
Okay. It was Theismann and Gatewood were the two heroes for Notre Dame.
Okay.
Okay. But I was so into, our high school team. We were, I played both ways. We were
Okay.
number one.
Yeah. Okay.
The Packers were always number one.
Okay.
I went to all the Badger games, and Notre Dame, I had totally dried up. I was not interested. I went to one game. I said, forget Notre Dame. Didn't care about Notre Dame football at all. okay?
That was just all your
My
4
freshman
years?
year.
Okay, freshman
yeah, I didn't
year.
care.
Okay.
But they wanted me to go to the game.
Okay.
I said, okay, you know, my roommate and friends, okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
Not interested.
Yeah.
So I get there,
Yeah.
and New Year's Eve, they had this huge gathering of Christians from around the country, downtown Dallas.
Okay.
Well, I'm interested in that, okay? They got a Bible. I'd never read the Bible. And there was a lot of pretty girls.
At this conference.
Oh, yeah, and I found a real pretty girl, okay? And she didn't mind me being with her, okay? She's from Iowa. And like they said at Notre Dame, when I was there was no girls. And my roommate,
that's right,
would
yes.
always go, well, you can't survive without a girl.
Yeah.
I mean, because he was from the neighboring town in Wisconsin.
Okay.
So we kind of, I understood why he said that.
Yeah.
I didn't really believe that, but
So at your freshman year, there was no girls at Notre Dame
no,
yet? Okay.
no,
Okay.
no. And we had 2 dances a week.
Okay.
Okay. We, you know, so we had all the girls of our picking because they'd come to our town, to the Dells,
Okay.
from all these towns, and 2 dances a week. So you had, you know, so all of a sudden there's no girls. And St.
Oh,
Mary's,
that's right. Okay, yes.
St. Mary's was 1 girl to every 7 guys.
Okay,
Well, you're only a freshman.
right.
Okay.
You're not getting any pickings, no.
Nothing. So this is the first time I'm seeing a girl.
Right.
Okay. So I'm not going to let go of this girl unless it's something, you know, she's already, I'm right with her.
Yeah.
But I let go of her.
Okay.
Now, the only reason was she believed in Adam and Eve. It freaked me out.
You couldn't take it.
Freaked me out. I said, what kind of weird girl is this? She actually believes this. It's like believing in Santa Claus. They had so effectively made me believe
An evolution.
that you got to be an idiot to believe in 6-day creation. Like you're something wrong with you.
Yeah.
I wasn't even aware that I had picked that up, because otherwise I would never have let go with that girl. Okay. So I said, I can't be with this girl. Okay.
It's too much of a stress.
It's something weird.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
believes in
Yes.
this? Okay. And then but then I started, still New Year's Eve, I'm debating on the street with more of the guys.
Yeah.
And they had the Bible, and I said, hold it here. I'm going to run to the bookstore. I don't know if I knew where the bookstore, I found one, but I went and I got the book Naked Ape.
Okay.
Okay.
I had to read that one, yeah.
You had to read that?
Yes.
Did you really?
Yes.
In
For
school?
anthropology, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Desmond Moore's Naked Ape.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm in the back of that bookstore. I had my dad's Navy jacket on.
Okay.
And I'm going up to pay for it. No, I had a few drinks, so I'm not exactly clear. New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
2 guys grab me. They take me to the back of the room. 2
Back of the
cops
school,
come.
okay.
They throw me in a cop car.
Yeah.
They take me to the jail.
Jail.
Okay. And I get out the next morning. My friends come and get me.
Oh, the friends knew where to
Yeah,
find you?
$25 bond. You don't
Okay.
get out. And during this time, I don't know the exact time frame, my friend had picked up a girl from Hammond, where you're from.
Okay.
And she was going to Marquette University.
Okay.
Well, she was interested in me instead of him.
Okay. Okay.
Well, so I'm with her. She had Eric Fromm's book, Art of Loving.
Okay.
Okay. I went to visit her in Marquette, and a guy come up to me and said, stay away from that girl. She's an evil girl, okay? And then the light came on, and I go, I believe you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe you. Okay. So in other words, I had the prettiest girl there in my mind.
And you ditched her.
I ditched her. I end up with like one of the worst girls,
a problem girl,
testified by many people,
Yes.
and I know she was bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Following the evolution.
Yes.
Okay. Now that doesn't mean anything except it puts it in the front of my mind.
Yeah.
Okay. What happens when you follow evolution? Okay.
You're not following Christ.
I read that 59%, the government study, 59% of the people believe that if you believe in evolution, you have to be an atheist.
It kind of coincides.
Well, they just assume it.
You're right.
Okay? No, Notre Dame wants to believe, oh no, you can teach evolution and it causes you to come to God. And you go, well, nobody else believes that.
No.
Okay? But that's what they want to teach. Oh, this shows God even more fantastic. That's not what most people get.
No.
No, you teach evolution, and you could call it theistic evolution, call it what you want. It's evolution.
Right.
Most people, that puts them on the path away from God.
Oh, yes. yes.
Why was Ball State so wild? They're all being taught evolution,
Right.
and then anything
There's no
goes.
consequences. Yeah, they didn't believe in consequences.
Right. So this has permeated the whole Catholic Church because Notre Dame is, you know, if you're Catholic and you want your child to go to college, and you're really serious Catholic, well, if they can go to Notre Dame, isn't that the best school to get in?
Oh, that's what everybody thought.
Didn't they?
Oh, yes.
In your community, right?
Yes.
What's the best Catholic school somebody could go to if they're valedictorian?
Right.
And they can get in.
Right.
Isn't Notre Dame the top?
Oh, that's the top choice for them, yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Notre Dame rules.
Right.
Notre Dame rules. So
Yes.
if Notre Dame is up teaching theistic evolution.
And they call themselves a top Catholic university.
Oh, I know it.
Yes,
And people
yes,
believe it.
Yes.
And they have been believing
Yes.
it.
But when they get there, it's not a Catholic education you get.
Well, when you get there, you're going to have a Father Murphy effect, and they're
Yes.
going to jam evolution
Yes.
down your throat.
Yes.
Just because Zahm just had his 100th anniversary. He
Yes.
died like 102 years ago, but
Okay.
because of COVID, they didn't really celebrate as
Okay.
much.
Okay.
Okay, but his forcefulness of teaching evolution is at Notre Dame,
Yes. Yes.
and they're going to force it wherever they go.
Yeah, well, if he's a Holy Cross, that's what they adopted. That's their game plan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. After my freshman year, getting all that, then I took a class during the summer with my mom, and the professor was explaining why he was an atheist.
Okay.
He was somebody who was a friend of the family, actually. Well, I just concluded, I go, well, when you really think about it, evolution, it's like, you know, I guess there is no God. See, that's what
That's where they want you to go.
yeah, and the information I had, it would force me to say that, well, that based on the evidence I got,
Yes.
that's what you have to do.
Yes.
Okay, so when I'm over in Europe, I remember I was friends with some of the Austrians. You know, I lived with the Austrians.
Okay.
Okay, Innsbruck.
Okay. For a semester? Is that what you
Yeah, that was
okay,
for a semester.
Okay.
And somebody came in to share God, and I was brutal. Well, there is no God. What do you mean?
Oh, after this evolution
I remember,
class,
yeah,
yes.
because you become brutal.
Yes.
Because there's no Adam and Eve. Those stories in the Bible are
They
not
said
true.
it was myths, yeah. They
So
said
why
it
are
was
we
myths.
even bothering?
Wasting time, yeah. Why waste time on
Yeah,
this?
I can get Grimm's fairy tales, Santa Claus. These are not true.
Right.
If they're not true, why are we even looking at it?
Yes.
Oh, you can learn from it.
It's
Like
a
what?
lesson to be learned, yes.
Right. So here's the dilemma. The Catholic Church, Notre Dame, they've been teaching evolution like thoroughly and exclusively since Vatican II.
Oh, yes.
It's changing a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. But because science, okay, there's a scripture here, because science,
Well, science is inconsistent. They find some things to be true, and then they find some things to be not true.
at the end of 1 Timothy it says, O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called. Okay. With the Civil War, science was hooked up with the Marxist and the atheist, okay?
Yes.
I'm just saying, the communists. And when you sided with them, you were in trouble. Okay, you're putting yourself in a camp.
Your soul endangered. Yes.
The National Academy of Science was started in the Civil War,
Okay.
1863. 90% of it, it's like the biggest science organization right now. Theodore Hesburgh was big in it. 90% of them are basically atheists. It's just assumed when you're going to become a scientist.
You're giving up God. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that just goes with the
Yeah.
package, and
Yes.
it's assumed that
Yes.
if you really study the actual facts, evolution is true. And then they try to say, well, you can mix the both. Okay, so you can hold on to theistic evolution, and you can hold on to Adam and Eve at the same time. You can hold on to the Adam and Eve of Jesus Christ. In other words, the Adam and Eve Jesus talked about, and he
Right.
did.
Right.
The Adam and Eve of the apostles, and they talked about Adam and Eve all the time. You can hold on to evolution and the same Adam and Eve that they taught?
No, you can't. They say you can, but you can't.
You can't.
No.
Anybody on the
You
street.
got to go one way or the other. You can't split it down the middle. No.
No, but they're trying to serve two masters.
But you can't. Yeah. I know that's what they push. Yes.
Jesus said you can't serve God and mammon.
Right.
Well, there's kind of a connection.
Yeah.
There's probably The scripture says they teach things which they ought not to for filthy lucre's sake. So in other words, what's the money motivation here?
Yes.
Why are you really teaching evolution? Is it for the filthy lucre some way or another?
It's to gain more status for Notre Dame, and more money and more recognition worldwide, yes.
Well, why do people go to college?
Well, I guess to get your career.
And why do you want a career?
To support yourself and your life endeavor.
Support yourself with what?
With the money you earn from your...
Oh, the money.
Money, yes.
The money.
Yes.
Oh, the money.
Yes.
Jesus said you either serve God or money.
Right.
So you go to college. Colleges were almost originally all set up for seminaries to serve God.
Oh, yes, yes.
But they're not going for that anymore.
No.
They're going for the filthy lucre.
Right.
But they don't want to say that.
No.
They want to give the appearance they're going for an education. Do they really care about the education? Or do they care more for the money?
Well, if you're able to earn money from your education, that's what you're interested in, and they want to promote that. That's why these kids are going to school and giving themselves those big loans so they can get their career and earn more money.
Well, the question is, where does evolution fit in to making more money? Can you make more money if you believe in evolution? Maybe?
If that's your job condition and you're required to know it, just like the critical race thing right now, if your job requires it, you're going to be forced to do that, forced to believe in it.
Well, if you're a Christian, you can't do wrong.
Right.
So you can't cheat to get the money.
Right.
If you believe in evolution, it's survival of the fittest.
Right.
So you can get the money any way you want.
Yes.
So if you have to lie, steal, kill, and destroy, a little bit, what's going to stop you? Why can't you?
Your conscience is not going to bother you. No.
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 No. You're going to Ball State. Everybody is, acting wild. But if evolution is true, your conscience isn't going to bother you as much, is it?
No. Oh, no.
It's just as natural.
Anything goes. Anything goes. You have no regrets. You're just here for the ride, I guess.
Well, eventually you may have a regret, you would hope. But at the time,
no.
You have an excuse.
Right.
Yeah, so that's why this is important. That you have to bring to the surface. The truth is, you go to school, and what they're teaching you your freshman year is like everything.
Like critical.
That's
critical.
everything.
Right, yeah.
In other words, I'm going to Notre Dame. Well, I'm not interested in that. No, what you should say, I'm going to sit under Father Murphy and be force-fed evolution. Oh, is that what you want to do? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay? If you say, Mom, I want to go to Ball State, well, let's break that down. No, you want to be taught 4 science classes that demand that you believe in evolution.
Yes, well,
that's what you're doing.
That's what you're getting, yeah.
Well, that's why it has to be why you're going. Otherwise, what, you don't know what you're doing?
Well, you got a curriculum to follow, and that's what's on your curriculum.
Yeah. Well, when you say I want to go to Ball State, I have to assume you want to get those 4 classes and be jammed with evolution.
You want to get your college degree so you have a job, and that's your requirement. That's what you're going to have to do.
That's what you're willing to go through.
Yes, you want to go through that. Yes.
And you're willing to go to Notre Dame as a Catholic or as a Christian,
right?
And be jammed and forced along with everybody else.
Right.
You will believe in evolution, and that's it.
Oh yeah.
And how many people have been coming out since Vatican II?
Yes.
Believing in 6-day creation and the young earth as Jesus taught.
Very few.
Well, then they don't believe in Jesus.
Well, they try to.
You're saved by believing in Jesus.
Yes.
What can I do to be saved? Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And thou shalt be saved, thou and thy household. And then they were baptized. Okay.
Yes.
Well, if Jesus taught 6-day creation and the young earth, which all the professors say he did, and a clear reading of the scripture says he did. But the professors and the bishops and the priests are saying, but Jesus was wrong. This is what they are saying.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And science has proven Jesus wrong, so we're not going to believe Jesus on that. Huh. Well, then you're not believing in Jesus, are you? And he's the creator. This is like, what could be more important than the fact that Jesus is the creator and that he created it in 6 days and rested on the seventh? And you're saying, even though he thought he did that,
he really didn't.
He really didn't. Now, if this isn't pure sorcery and witchcraft, then why isn't it?
Well, you're undermining
This is pure
God.
deception.
Yeah, it is. You're undermining God, yes.
But they're forcing you because you want that money, you want that career.
Not to have that thought.
You're allowing yourself to sit under this forced
interrogation.
Islamic,
yeah,
doctrine.
Yes.
Because you feel it's necessary.
Yeah.
And you're not thinking, you're going through the motions, but you're believing it.
Now, did you get evolution throughout the 4 years at Notre Dame?
Just that class.
Just that class, yeah. I just got that freshman year. After that, they didn't.
But the psychology was atheistic, so it was assumed.
Yeah, you already had that background, yeah.
Yeah, it was assumed. I studied over in Europe. They were really into evolution there. Yeah. So everywhere I went.
Germany? You're saying Germany?
Innsbruck, Austria.
Okay, Austria.
But I traveled in Germany a lot. But the effect of that on our generation, we're the boomer generation.
Yes.
We were hit with evolution like crazy.
Oh yeah, bombarded. Oh yeah. Yes.
We didn't see any other.
And then when I got to teaching, I could just tell the teachers in the schools where I taught believed in evolution, just the way they treated the students, the way they interacted with kids. You could tell that's that. And one kid came to me one day and said, "Miss Latanation, did I come from a monkey?" And I said, "No." I said, "God created you." He says, "How do you know?" I said, "It's in the Bible." And then he kind of straightened up and was quiet. But I mean,
so he felt if he had to believe he came from a monkey, that really stressed him out.
Totally destroyed the kid.
Well, it's destroying everybody.
Yes.
Just because you can put on a good front.
Yes.
It is destroying you.
Yes. And I couldn't believe you'd be talking about evolution in a math class. And I thought, why would he bring it? I could say in a science class I can understand.
But he did.
Yeah.
The teacher did.
Yeah. And I thought, what's this kid coming to my classroom in tears for? I said, what's happening here? And the kid, finally I said, what happened? And I thought, did he get in a fight? Did some teacher throw him out of his class? What are you doing in my class? And he says, did I come from a monkey? And I said, no. No. And he felt, the kid was so relieved. Oh my gosh, like night and day, difference in the kid.
Yeah. Well, Zahm wrote his book, Evolution and Dogma, 1896. The Vatican then immediately responded, condemned the book, or threatened to put it on the forbidden book list, which would really destroy him and Notre Dame in a way.
Yes.
So they were able to Notre Dame would stop that. But then they came up with an encyclical, Pope Pius X, Pascendi.
Okay.
And Hugh Owens, who started almost the only Catholic creation. The Protestants have tons of creation institutes and societies. Yes. Catholics have maybe one in England, and then Hugh Owens, who I've met, starting one called the Kolbe Center, I guess. And he said that letter of Pascendi, that encyclical, says that the heresy of heresies, the heresies of modernism, the core doctrine of the whole modernist, the whole heretical thing that's overtaken the world is evolution.
Oh yeah.
That was 1907.
Yes.
Evolution is at the core of the whole modernist threat, which Pius IX had the Syllabus of Errors in 1864. Then you had the 1907. They're all trying to fight this. And evolution was the core doctrine. Mm-hmm. And here's Notre Dame.
Pushing it.
Going with John Zahm, who the brothers voted out.
Right.
Who Theodore Roosevelt and the gang says, get out of here.
Right.
Because he was so arrogant.
Yes.
Well, if you're proud, even though you don't think you're proud, right? Nobody wants to think they are. Then you're going to be deceived. Okay? And you can latch on to false doctrine. But he was pushing that Augustine and Aquinas taught theistic evolution.
Well, just look at what's going on in the world today with the war and everything that's going on. That has to be evolution based.
Of course. Mao Zedong was an
Yes.
evolutionist.
Yes.
Communism is based on evolution. Karl Marx and Darwin were
Yes.
very worked together in a way, okay? Pol Pot, evolutionist.
Okay.
Joe Stalin, evolutionist. Adolf Hitler, evolutionist. Now look at America.
Yes.
The American Empire.
Yes.
Evolution is driving it.
Yes. Yes.
So we got military in how many nations?
Yes.
80, 100. And we invade Iraq. Why not?
Nothing stopped
We fund
them.
the Iraq
Yeah.
war. Well, let's try to wipe out Russia. Why not? We don't believe in Adam and Eve, do we? No, they don't.
No.
That's a myth. We believe in survival of the fittest, which is the essence of evolution. And Notre Dame has the Hesburgh Peace Institute, the Kroc Institute.
yeah.
It's all about peace.
Right.
And yet, Father Miss Campbell,
Yes.
who was at the Sycamore Trust breakfast that you've been to one time.
Yes. Yes.
And I asked him a couple questions, and he goes, "Oh, Augustine taught theistic evolution." See,
Yeah.
not a theory, not questionable. No, he did.
Yeah.
That's Zahm. He did. And he wrote the book justifying the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which shocks Christians.
Right.
See, so the American Empire is going to be fueled by evolution, and Notre Dame is going to be at the center of it. Why not?
Right.
Got Catholic approval.
Right.
And my dad and uncles went to Notre Dame. And my dad always bragged how Notre Dame produced the fourth number of officers, next to the Army, Navy, and Air Force, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, but Notre Dame, my dad was an officer out of Notre Dame,
Yeah.
a lieutenant. His brother, two brothers. I'm just saying, they push it forward.
Yes.
And evolution enables the empire to keep going and run over people. And now the world is saying, we don't like America anymore. Because first of all, we're producing a population where 71% last year supports same-sex marriage.
Right.
They're supporting abominations. They approve abominations. The populace.
Yes.
Where's this coming from?
Evolution.
Well, it can't be coming from the Bible.
No. Oh no.
And I just read that even Christian professors at Christian colleges, the majority believe in evolution. Well, all of them at Notre Dame.
Yes.
Every last Holy Cross brother, they're all do.
And the nuns too. The nuns.
Of course.
Yeah.
They're not going to hire you if you believe in six-day creation. They don't want you.
No.
Now, maybe that can change.
Well, maybe the elementary schools might still be able to do creation, but when you get to the high schools, they're not going to allow that going through. No.
No. So the reason we're having this show is, I mean, this will go on the air locally.
Yeah.
And something needs to be, see, like I've talked to like the former dean of the graduate program at Notre Dame, and I've explained this to him. And he goes, well, we don't like to say it like that.
Yeah.
In other words, well, yeah, we do say that Jesus didn't understand science, and Jesus did believe in six-day creation, young earth, but he was wrong, because science has proven him wrong. Well, we don't like to say it that way. Of course you don't, because you have another Jesus. I mean, in other words, you don't really believe in Jesus.
No, they don't.
He's the creator. He created it in 6 days. He says he did.
Yes.
And you don't believe that. Well, that's the first part of the Apostles' Creed. This is like central to the Christian faith. And you don't have it. Isn't that a problem?
Not to them.
They don't even call it a heresy.
Which it is.
If it's not a heresy, if Jesus
Said something.
if he believed he created in 6
Right.
days, so you have to believe he was mistaken. He thought he created it in 6 days, but he really did it through evolution, and he just doesn't realize it. That's their position.
Yeah.
I mean, if that is not, and then they go, well, we don't like to say it that way. That's how they get around it. Well, let's say it a different way. Yeah, but that is what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, but can we say it differently than that? Well, this is heresy. And this is what they've been doing for sure since Vatican II.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's that doing to the souls?
Destroying them. Destroying them.
And Jesus said, it'd be better if a millstone was hung around your neck and you be cast into the sea if you cause one of these little ones to stumble. So by you teaching that, if somebody concludes, well, hold here, I can't believe both at the same time, I'm going to have to let go of one to get the other. And if they let go of Jesus to lay a hold of their evolution that you're giving them,
Right.
and by going with evolution and they let go of Jesus, it's on you.
Yes. Oh, yeah, you taught it to
You're causing them to stumble because they can't hold on to both. Their brain will fry.
Right.
So the hope is I'm meeting more and more young people who
are questioning this.
Oh, they're on the warpath.
Yeah.
They're on the warpath because they see it.
Yes.
Because the internet has brought things to light.
Yes. Yeah, more information out there.
They don't have any evidence for an old earth.
Right.
The evidence that they provide for an old earth is bogus.
Yes.
They want to tell you, oh, we got tons. It's irrefutable. Show me it.
Yeah.
Like St. Paul would go into court. Prove it, he say. Prove it. Where's your evidence? Well, trust us. That's your evidence? Trust us? Carbon dating. Bogus, 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 bogus.
So all these things that they put faith and hope in are turning out to be incorrect.
Well, first of all, when God created Adam, he was old. He was probably 30 years old looking.
Yes.
Well, he still just created them. So you're either going to believe Jesus and be saved, or you're going to disbelieve him and risk your soul. And all these professors admit he did teach six-day creation. And the apostles certainly did teach it.
Yes.
So are you going to believe, or are you going to disbelieve? And if you believe, you can be saved. And if you don't believe, in Jesus, how are you going to be saved? I'd like to know.
You're not. No. Salvation is through God.
It's through, believing in Jesus Christ.
Right.
And if he taught six-day creation, you're going to go, well, I'm against him on that. You're against him on that? If you're not with me, you're against me.
You can't pick and choose.
No.
No.
Well, that's the problem. Hopefully, we're narrowing in on what the issue is here.
Yes.
And it's causing people to be sensitive to it. Judy Latanation. So until next time, Citizens for Community Media.